go. We are recording. Okay, so good morning, everybody. I have, I'm sitting here in Wigan in postcode, and you'll notice this is not my usual sort of attire because I have dressed up today because I wanted to show you guys and give you a feel for my whole day as when I was awarded my MBE. So that's why I am dressed up like this, and you'll all be happy to see I'm wearing a shawl I made at Wigan. So there's my shawl, the virus shawl pattern, anybody who's interested in making one. Okay, bit of a plug there for them. And so I'm going to go back to how this all came about, what happened and how was I nominated. It starts back in 2020, in probably summer, just between the different pandemics. You know, we had lockdown 1 and lockdown 2 and everything like that. Candy, who is the manager here in postcode, was asked by a lady who's also an MBE who lives in Wigan, and she does a lot of work with the council. Is there anybody Candy knows who she would like to put forward for an MBE? And Candy, for bless her heart, immediately said Michelle Nell. And this lady asked her, why do you feel Michelle should be awarded an honour? Candy said to her, look, Michelle's been helping in the community, teaching sewing, giving away sewing machines, just helping the community really with isolated people, with the refugees, all of that sort of thing, all sewing and craft related. But in addition to that, during the start of the pandemic, I also started a little charity which was to make headbands and ear savers for the healthcare professionals and frontline workers, anybody who had to work with a mask on all day. So anyway, Candy nominated me for that. This lady took it on herself to put an application forward, because anybody can vote for anybody to actually be awarded honour in the Order of the British Empire. And so any one of you can go onto the website if you know somebody who is worthy of and doing wonderful work for the community and for other people. Now, after that, I didn't know any of this, by the way. The first inkling I got of this was an email which, to be fair, looked rather like spam. And when it said it was from the office of the Order of the British Empire, I was like, what on earth is all of this? And I just deleted it. Unbeknownst to me, it was an official document from the Cabinet Office. So then obviously they didn't hear from me, so they phoned me instead. And when the lady got on the phone, she was a Michelle as well, I just said to her, look, is this some sort of joke? Because I keep getting emails as well. She said, no, seriously, this isn't a joke. If you want, you can go and verify who I am. And I did. Went online and I Googled her name, and lo and behold, the Cabinet Office came up of employees and photos, and I was like, oh, okay. So I phoned her back and I said, right, you obviously do work for them, so what is this all about? And she then said to me, you have been nominated for an award for the Order of the British Empire. I was a little bit gobsmacked and just said to her, seriously? And she said, yes, seriously. And I said, when you say nominated, is that like I may be awarded it or may not, like the Oscars type thing? She said, no, you've been awarded an award, and you have the right to accept it or decline it. And of course I accepted it. That was probably back in late September. Luckily for me, I didn't have to keep it quiet for too long, because you're not allowed to talk about it at all. You're not allowed to tell people until it's published by the government. So we went on holiday to Germany, and that kind of took my mind off all of this. and I didn't have to worry about it so much. And in the meantime, they had asked me a few questions and let me know when it would be published and all of the rest. In the documentation that I received, they also explained to you what the order is, and it's actually the most excellent order of the British Empire. And there are different levels of award that you get. You don't tell them what award you want to give to a person. They make that decision in the Cabinet Office. So my name just went forward. The first thing they do is check your records. You can't be a criminal, you can't be of a person of ill repute, and all of these things, okay? Once they've got through all of that, they then say, okay, your name can progress further forward, which it did. It then goes to this Cabinet Office where they then decide what award should be given to each of the individuals who've been nominated. And I was given a member of the British Empire, an MBE. After that's been assigned, it goes to the Prime Minister and the Queen, and they sign off that you can receive the order, and that's the process that they go through. On the night of, I don't know what it was now, it was early October, they published the awards at midnight, and it goes into the Gazette, which is the government's official newspaper, and you also get all the normal notifications. So lo and behold, the morning of the awards, my picture, because I had a couple of days when I got home from holiday where a couple of press photographers were sent round, and they took photographs and took a little bit of the story and stuff like that. And my face was all over the Wigan newspapers and Manchester newspapers, much to my yes, I was expecting a little article in the paper, but no, front page, huge picture, which was rather fun. So I've got a few copies of those for my history books, really. From there, what happens is you are generally told when you're going to be given your medal, and that's called an investiture ceremony. And so you've already been given the award, but you only receive your medal and you're at your investiture ceremony. Now, I received my reward for the Queen's birthday honours in 2020, which was delayed. That's normally done in June, July for her birthday, but they delayed it because of the pandemic, and they wanted to give people who'd responded with acts of kindness and all of that because of the pandemic. They wanted to add them to the normal list of awards. So that was delayed until October. And because of the pandemic, we were nearly 2 years behind because they couldn't have any investiture ceremonies at all during the pandemic. And they were slowly starting to have award ceremonies again, and most of them are now held at Windsor Castle. And I think that a lot of that's got to do with the environment and how they can control infection rates and everything else. So I'll get back to that in a second. So all of that was very exciting, and about a year later I got my letter to say, you're invited to the palace. And I was going to go to Windsor Castle, to the state apartments at Windsor Castle for my investiture on the 1st of February 2021. I left it until January of 2022, sorry, that's how long it was. So I got my award in October 2020, and my ceremony was 1st of February 2022. So it took quite a while for them to catch up. At that point, I started to have a thought that maybe I needed an outfit, and what was I going to wear, and all of these things were like, oh my word, what am I going to do? And I decided to make my own outfit because there wasn't enough stress in my life anyway. So I landed up making myself this lovely velvet outfit in pinks, and the reason for that is because the medal is a sort of a salmony pink, and I wanted it to look nice on my outfit. And let me tell you, I'm going to have one outfit. Every time I go out for an official event or a state event, this will be the outfit I'll be wearing. I'm telling you, I'm not getting another one. I'm not making another one, so I better not get too fat. Yeah. So this is what I made. It started out with another 2 rows of frills. There was a green one to match my trousers, and there was a pink one as well down here, which I've hacked off subsequently, because when I put it on, it looked like I was going to carnival. So that we had to go, because the dress code is very understated, and they kind of tell you, look at the wardrobe of the royal family and see what the type of things are that they wear at state events, and that will give you an idea of what you should try and wear, because you don't want 100 years from now somebody to look at your photo at the palace and you look like a rah-rah girl, or you know, your cleavage is exposed. And let me tell you, that was a real thing for me. You can imagine somebody standing up above here, and if I'd had a plunging neckline, that wouldn't have done at all. Okay, so I wanted something that didn't show off too much skin, and so this is what I came up with. And then I got the fascinator. Okay, this took quite a lot of work. 2 days before the ceremony, I realized I had no handbag at all. I bought this necklace to wear, and I thought, no, it's too much. Understated is better. So I quickly whipped together the handbag to match my outfit. So the inside matches my top, and the outside matches my trousers. And the necklace became the handle. So that was very nice. And I'll probably never use it again. But there you go. I have a handbag that goes with all of this. Outfit sorted. Oh, shoes. I mean, really, shoes are a nightmare. I can't wear shoes comfortably at all, so that was a big thing. But I managed to get a pair of shoes that are really comfortable and that I could wear all day. So there were all of the mundane things sorted out. We booked a hotel down in Windsor for the night and decided to stay over the night before, because you never know with the traffic. And we had to be at the castle at 9:30. We stayed over the night before, and I slept reasonably well, but not brilliantly, because the whole night I kept worrying about really strange things. Like, can they see down my cleavage? Is my fascinator covering my face? And how on earth does somebody, whoever's doing the investiture, because I don't know at this point who's going to do the ceremony, they don't tell you, how do they pin all of those medals on all of those people without touching your skin? And I don't know why this worried me, but it really did. So they must have a technique, because that wouldn't be something that they would do. So anyway, luckily for me, it was resolved on the day. So next morning we got up really early, had a good breakfast, got dressed. I even curled my hair. It was curly, but not like today. And okay, so the fascinator's coming off, guys. The next morning we got in the car and drove down the long walk at Windsor Castle. So I don't know if you've ever seen Windsor Castle, but often you'll see a picture taken up a very long road with the castle at the end, or other way around. There's a picture, there's a statue at the bottom, and it is a very long drive. And you drive up there and you get to the Cambridge Gate, and when you get to the Cambridge Gate, you have to have your picture, your parking permit and everything in the window, and then you are surrounded by a swarm of police. 2 of them in the boot, 2 of them in the bonnet, 2 of them opening all the doors to check out in the car, 2 of them with mirrors and sniffer dogs and all of that to check your car. So once they've done that, you get to go through the Cambridge Gate and you drive up to the castle entrance. Now, because I'm in a wheelchair, I got access through the gates of the castle into the courtyard, whereas everybody else has to park outside. And it was a beautiful sunny day. Honestly, we couldn't have asked for anything better, except the wind blew. And at one stage, the fascinator went flying. And the hair was everywhere. But that wasn't too bad. The people there were unbelievable. We were met at the car by one of the first members of the royal staff, and she said, "Can I have your lateral flow test results, please?" As you do in a pandemic, show your test results, and then you're free to go into the castle. We were recommended where it was very public places, keep your mask on, and once you were in the royal chambers, you could take your mask off if you wanted. Once we'd done that, we got into the castle, went for a long walk, being ushered by, I swear, I don't know how many staff they got there, but it's a lot of people. Because you took us a few meters before another staff member took over to take us the next step of the way, and then that's how it went. And every step of the way, that person asked how we were and what we were there for and congratulated us. And it was honestly, it was absolutely amazing. They were fantastic. We got upstairs in the lift. Interesting, because everybody goes up the staircase into the state apartments, which is glorious with all these battle armor and all of the stuff. So Mark saw that, I didn't. By the way, hubby was my guest with me. And I had to go up in the elevator. Now, being in a wheelchair, if you've ever had to experience old buildings in a wheelchair, you might know that you get to see the back end of every building, all right? And we are talking the place where they keep the rubbish bins, the place where the goods arrive at the back. And it was no difference at this castle, let me tell you, because the second you open those beautiful oak doors, the elevator is there, the staircases are painted grey or white or whatever, and you can just see it's a service area. And so we went up in the lift with somebody to the top floor, in effect, of Windsor Castle. And I don't know if many of you remember that back in, oh gosh, how many years ago is it now, that they had that massive fire that destroyed the state apartments at Windsor? Well, that's where we were. And it has now been fully restored back to its original. I own a listed building, and the cost is astronomical. What it must have cost to set that castle back to its former, I don't even know. But they'd luckily, the week before, they had moved all of the paintings and everything for some work that was going on. And so that wasn't lost, all the Van Dykes and all of that stuff, which was great. So we got up to the top there, ushered to the next person. And the first person you get to, you show your invitation to, they ask you what award you're getting and all of that. And first question answered. They put a pin on your lapel for you with a little hook on it. So they don't actually have to do anything but place your medal over the hook. So there's no fiddling with your bosom, okay, while by royalty. That was a relief. And so, yeah, so that was that question answered. And I was just like, I am so glad you've just told me all of this. The guy was just laughing at me. Because some of you may notice I am a little enthusiastic about most stuff. And that day at the palace was no different for me. And everybody else who was there was very subdued and very well behaved. Well, not me. They were boring. Thank you, Debbie. We were not boring. We were admiring everything. We were telling everybody how beautiful the chandeliers were, and oh my word, this room is amazing. And they loved it. To be fair, everybody who spoke to us absolutely loved our enthusiasm. So that was nice. So from there, you get ushered through to a room, depending on where you are in the program. So you get given an official program with everybody who's receiving an award that day. And I think it's a maximum of 85 people in one investiture ceremony. And it starts at the highest level, which is your knighthood. and then they work their way through the program. So there was only one person who was knighted on the day we were there, and they get to kneel down and have a sword on the shoulder and all of that. So we went through a couple of rooms into a blue room. And of course, every room has got these enormous chandeliers. When I say enormous, I'm talking maybe 3 meters across type chandeliers, because they're really high up as well. Just absolutely stunning. So we went into the first room where we had to sit, and we were told, make yourself comfortable, look around and whatever. So we definitely did. We admired all of the Van Dyck paintings, and oh my word, the constables, and it was just unbelievable. And the matching chandeliers and the moldings on the ceilings in golds and beautiful colors, and the rose of the Lancashire roses and all of those things on the ceiling. Some of the carpets were a replica of the ceiling above it, the same color, the same pattern and everything. It was just beyond beautiful. And so we were in this little room, and at that point there were televisions set up in each of the rooms where you could watch the ceremonies from other people, because in the past you would all be in one room together and they would call you forward, but because of COVID they kept the groups down to smaller numbers, so you were each in a sort of 20 people in each room, and then you were ushered forward as the ceremonies progressed. So at that point was the first time we realized, and in our program, that it was Prince Charles who was doing the investitures that day. So you got a choice of usually Princess Anne, Prince Charles, William, or the Queen, but she's not doing any investitures at the moment. A, because of her health, and B, they have to keep her healthy, I suppose, for her big year this year. One room, we then get roll call. Okay, so they come round and they take your name, and lo and behold, we were in the wrong room. We were told to be there, but we weren't. Nothing like being disruptive. So he said, look, don't worry about it. You're in a wheelchair, so we have to look after you a little bit differently anyway. So stay where you are, and we'll usher you through when we're ready. Then from that room, you go into the green room, or whatever the next color room was. I've forgotten already. And you go in there and you admire all this beautiful stuff, and you're there and you watch the ceremonies on the screen as well. From that room, you go into the throne room. The throne room is the room before the actual ceremony takes place. And the throne room is where the Order of the Garter sits and has all of their big functions. Now, the Order of the Garter is the oldest order in the world, and it only has 22 seats. So there are 22 beautiful blue and gold little thronelets, or whatever you want to call them, for each of the members. And there's one vacancy at the moment because of the death of Prince Philip. And so that's got to be filled. So one person dies, and then they'll invest somebody else onto that seat. And then there's the throne at the end of the room as well. That's the final room you go to. And at that point, they came round and started telling us how we needed to behave. So there was this guy in this beautiful uniform and with spurs and all sorts of things, and he gets you all in there and he says to you, right, this is how it's all going to happen, okay? You can see it's military precision, okay? And he says, you are going to arrive, the prince will be over there on a little carpet, and this person will be there, and that person will be there, and you are going to come up into the room and stand at the door until one person brings you forward, and you talk to this man over here, some Lord Lieutenant, or I don't know. I mean, there were so many people that I met, and he'll chat to you until your name is called, and then you do a sharp, you walk forward, and you do a sharp left-hand turn, and you take 2 steps forward. The prince will take 2 steps forward, and then you can nod or you can curtsy. Your choice. They don't differentiate. So anybody now, any gender, any whatever you are, you can choose whether you curtsy or bow. And it's not a big bow. You get told chin to chest. That's all, okay? So at this point, I'm like, okay, fine, no problem. I'm going to remember all of this. And then he demonstrates for you. And oh boy, he's obviously done this hundreds of times, because he walks up there and he does his turn and he steps and he curtsies. If you're curtsying, he says, this is how you curtsy. And if you're bowing, this is how you bow. And I'm like, dude, this guy knows how to curtsy, eh? And so once you've done all of that, they then take you into the final room, where you stand in a queue as your name is called forward. So you go stand at the door. I'm standing at the door. It's a beautiful big door, and there's this ceremonial, the big stateroom where the ceremony takes place. And we're waiting here for our names to be called, and the lady's chatting to me here. She's admiring my handbag. You made it? And you made your outfit? Well, then somebody else came over and wanted to know, did you really make it? Yeah, I made my husband's shirt as well. So there was a big discussion about dressmaking and how on earth do you make a shirt, and it was hilarious. So funny, in fact, that another lady who was part of the whole palace protocol bit came over and said, excuse me ladies, could you keep it down a little bit? The prince is busy in the next room. Two of us, or the three of us at that point, just looked at each other and were like, whoops, sorry about that. And then you get called forward into the room. And you wait with this Lord Lieutenant guy, and he has a nice chat to you while the person in front of you is given their medal. Your partner, whoever you've brought with you, gets taken to your right-hand side on that side of the room. So they're there waiting in place for you to have your medal pinned on, which is lovely, because then they don't miss any of the ceremony at all. They would not let Mark push me. They came over and said, it's up to you, we will push you, or you can take yourself up there, whichever, it's your choice. But Mark said, can't I take her? He wanted in on the action, okay? And they said, no, you can't do that. Unruly husband, changing their process. No. Anyway, I said, no, I'll be fine on my own. So they were making sure I was okay with all of that. So I go up to this guy, and I'm standing there and I'm chatting away, and he's asking me all sorts of stuff. And we are chatting away, gabbing away about all sorts of stuff. This guy was so lovely, super tall. Had to lean like so far down to say hi to me. And to the extent that we were quite shocked when my name was called. We were like, okay, yes. And he was like, we shouldn't be talking. You have to go, like this. Anyway, so then your names are called out. And they have this really strange protocol. If you look in the program, if you're a Mr., you are Mr. Mark Nell. And that's how you are called. If you're a Miss, you are Miss Michelle Nell. If you're married, it's Mrs. Nell Michelle. And that's how protocol. I would love to know why, and I will research why they do that, because everybody else is the normal, what we would say normal, but married woman, it's always the other way around. And if you don't want to have a suffix or whatever on your name, it's just Michelle Nell. You don't get Miss. It's not part of a recognized thing. You're either a Mr. or you're a Mrs. That's your choice. So yeah, my name was called forward, and I'll show you the little video that they compiled for me afterwards. And your name is called forward, so I promptly pushed myself forward, did a left-hand turn in my wheelchair and pushed myself forward, and I'm seated like this, putting my brakes on, and Prince Charles is there and is leaning forward at the same time, and I was like, I haven't bowed yet. Don't do that, I'm like, whoa, you're messing with my mojo here, And I'm like, oh. So I missed out to the whole. They tell you how to address them. So Prince Charles is addressed as Your Royal Highness, only once. And then after that is Sir. Okay, so you call him Your Royal Highness. And you're told, and I think this is where they made the big mistake, Do not call him Your Majesty. He's obviously not Your Majesty yet, is he? I think that got stuck in my head. To this day, I don't know whether I called him Your Royal Highness or Your Majesty. I had this terrible feeling it's just normal for me to make a phone call, and that would have been me anyway. So he then has a guy behind him, his equerry behind him on his right side, tells him, he leans forward and tells him whose address he's addressing and what they're being awarded for, so he knows what the award is for. And there's a guy on the table over here who hands the person doing the ceremony the medal, and so it's all very nicely done. So by the time I'd not even thought about it, it was pinned on my chest already, and he was like, "Oh, congratulations and well done on being awarded," and he was so friendly. By the way, he's much shorter than I thought he was.
Oh, he is. Oh, he is. He's not tall at all.
I thought he was quite tall. He ain't tall, okay? Especially when he's surrounded by all of these civil servants who, at that sort of age in life, there was a height restriction on whether you could get into the army and all of that. So all of that sort of generation of civil people and soldiers were really tall. So they made him look even shorter, I think. But no, I was surprised he wasn't as tall as I thought he was. Then he was saying, I believe you've done wonderful work during the pandemic with headbands and ear things to protect. I was like, yes, I have actually. I did. So I gave him a very brief history of how Sarah Fitzsimmons had phoned me one day and said, Michelle, we have got all these nurses and these midwives, she's a midwife, that have got bleeding ears from these headbands from wearing a face mask 14 hours a day. And could you do something to help? And I'd said, of course, I'll make you a few. So I'd made her sort of 10 or 20 for her midwives. And within a week, I was just inundated with orders, absolutely inundated. So within a week, my son had built a website for us. I'd had a Facebook page set up. I had got people involved, Headbands for Heroes. There were lots of knitting involved. There was crochet involved. As a lot of you know, you did a lot of the work. So now I had people to make all this stuff. I was running out of supplies. I'd been using all of my own stuff for this, and I started asking around, can you help provide stuff? Serena found button suppliers for me, who provided us with buttons, an elastic supplier to provide elastic, which was as scarce as chicken teeth at that point, because they had literally run out of the thin elastic you need for headbands and for masks. So we were doing masks by that point to try and raise money to get more materials, and that worked really, really well. And so then we had lots of stock. And how was I going to get it out to everybody? Because we were getting orders from as far down as Southampton and all the way up past Edinburgh and up in the Highlands. So I came to church the one day and I said to John Rowley, who's one of our church members and happens to be a biker, I said, John, do you know any bikers who might want to deliver stuff for us and have a little ride out? Because remember, you couldn't even go out in the car at that point. And well, he put the word out there, and the next thing I had dozens and dozens of volunteer bikers, to the point that one day outside my window there was about 6 Harley Davidsons parked up waiting for deliveries and collections, and there was the swapping. They would deliver pre-made stuff from different people's houses that they made, and then I would throw down packages to go to this hospital and that clinic and all over the country. And it was just an unbelievable thing to do during the pandemic. So I gave him a very brief overview of that. And then we chatted about grandchildren, and I was out traveling, and I said, I happen to be going to South Africa in 2 days' time to meet my new granddaughter Ivy. And he was very pleased for me that I was able to go and all of that. And then he indicates when the interview is over by stepping forward and putting his hand out. Now, protocol states you don't touch a royal unless you have permission. Okay, so he puts his hand out and I grab his hand and I'm like, this is one of my children. I'm patting his hand, okay, shaking and patting his hand. It was hilarious. I got it on camera as well. So that was that, and then you turn around and you start leaving. You pick up your partner over there. Lovely man that's been chatting to him the whole time. And I thanked the guy giving out the medals, and he was smiling at me and saying, fantastic, well done, all of that. And then on the video, you'll see me thanking the orchestra. So, you know, I'm just like, the orchestra's been there this whole time playing the most beautiful music at Countess of Wessex Orchestra. And they've been playing all this beautiful music in the background. And the guy at the top of the ramp, when I went out into the next room, was just laughing at me because he said to me, you are having the best time, aren't you? I said, 100% yes, I am. Thank you very much. And then you go through and they take your medal off and they put it in a box for you and they give you a little card to tell you how you can wear it, when you're allowed to wear it, and all of that. And that, after that, you can have photos anywhere. You can tour around the castle, staterooms and whatever. And then you can go back outside where there are dozens of people who work for the palace there to take photographs for you. And it was just such an incredible day. I've never been so catered to and looked after, and everybody was just beyond friendly and kind, and it was just a totally amazing experience all in all. So we went for cake and coffee afterwards. I was exhausted. I think the pressure of everything, the stress, you don't even realize you're under. And for me especially, I get tired really easily. And we were going to go out and have a lovely meal. And I got back to the room and I just sat on the bed and I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere, Mark. You can order dinner in, which is what we did do. And then I got to actually look at my medal and everything else. The funny thing is, coming out of the castle, you go in this one-way system. You come out at the main gate of the castle where all the tourists are coming in for to tour the castle. And there was this a Chinese group across the road as we pulled up at the main gate where the police are, and they were pointing and talking to each other and looking at us, and I was like, I would love to know who they think I actually am with my smart outfit on and everything else coming out of the castle. Anyway, that made my day as well. But it was generally just a wonderful day. And I will show you some pictures, and this I will pass around is my medal. So there you go, there's my medal. And this, guys, is not just for me. This is for every single one of the people who helped Headbands for Heroes, who made this possible. My award is a dual award for community services for the last 40 years of my life, but part of my award is specifically for the work I did with all of you during the pandemic. So for you guys, this is an absolute honor to have worked with all of you. To the guys who just rode on their bicycles in Supergirl outfits all over Wigan, and the guys who made coffee endlessly at the Sash Window coffee shop, that being my husband, and the admin team, the button sewing team, every single one of the bikers, couriers, every person who was involved, those who donated to the cause and everything else. This is a huge thank you from us, and for all the incredible work you've done and so many people that you helped during the pandemic. So thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the little presentation and I haven't bored you too much, but I will pass the medal around now and let everybody see that. So thank you. Bye.